Well, thanks for staying with us here on 13 News Now Plus. We have continuous live coverage of this election for you until 4 in the morning. Here's another look at the latest results in this presidential race. Like I told you earlier, we were at 95, now we're at 101 votes coming in for Trump. 35 coming in for Harris. We have 9 states that have now been called for President Trump, and we're seeing 5 states predicted for Harris to come in on top. Let's talk about Virginia, though, as we zoom in here to our state. You can see a lot of red with these early projections coming in. Let's zoom into our viewing area. Let's first go to Virginia Beach, where we're seeing 53% coming in for Trump. Now, this is actually looking back at the 2020 election, we only saw about 46% coming for Trump for the Virginia Beach area. So a big jump here. But again, only 25, almost 26% reporting. So something we're going to stay in tune to. I'm going to take a closer look at Virginia. Plus, we'll have more on North Carolina and House races for Virginia coming up in just minutes. But first, let's go over to Dana.
All right, thanks so much, Bethany. There is a lot to get into tonight. We have 2 13 News Now political analysts to help us break it all down. So Dr. Leslie Coggle from Virginia Wesleyan University, Dr. Robert Watson from Hampton University. Thank you guys both for being here tonight. We really do appreciate that. So first, let's get into the presidential race. That's the big talker. It's been the big talker for months now. As these initial results come in, what kind of strikes you first? Let's start with Dr. Coggle.
You know, this is going to sound terrible, but I think it's still too early to tell. Especially in these swing states, you really need to see many more of the voters, a larger percentage of the vote in these population centers to be able to draw many conclusions. So I think everything we see on the electoral map is pretty much what you would expect so far, and it's a waiting game from here.
That's fair. Dr. Watson?
I think that's very accurate. I think we're going to have to wait this one out. I don't think it's a surprise, though, in terms of where we are at this point in the race. But so yeah, it will be a while before we know.
Right. And this is normal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How long does it usually take for results to come in?
You know, when you have tight races, it can take some time. And I will say, I'm not sure, but I would imagine it's going to be a little quicker than it was in 2020 because you have fewer mail-in ballots, right?
Right.
And that was in the middle of COVID. And in Georgia, North Carolina, I think you should see those results tonight, but it could be a couple of days for places like Arizona. It's not unusual for Maricopa County to take a long time.
Right.
So depending on how close this is, this could be something that's days and not hours.
Right. Fair. And they've been describing this race as neck and neck, really, right, Dr. Watson?
Absolutely. And so the results, well, not the results, but the fact that we are waiting and waiting is not unexpected, frankly. And I agree, it could be days and days, maybe right to the end of the year.
Well, there you go. But as of right now, still too early.
Yes.
Still too early. So another race that we're watching, of course, is Congressional District 2. We've got Jen Kiggins, Missy Cotter-Smazel. We talked about this earlier. This is a seat that's no means safe for anybody. Dr. Coggle, you start. This has switched between Republican and Democrat.
It really has. You win this seat, you can't feel comfortable, right? And not only is this a competitive seat, but this has become a really expensive race to run here, right? These candidates are raising and spending a lot of money. I think Virginia's 2nd District is going to tell us a lot about what the House races look like and kind of what issues play in the minds of voters. But this is certainly a toss-up race, and I think this has been something that we've heard since the beginning of election season, that the 2nd District is going to be one to watch.
Absolutely. And Dr. Watson, we spoke about kind of the big names coming out for this race, just how critical it is.
Right. We've seen the big names in this state come out. Especially people like Barack Obama and others who know how important it is for the Democrats to keep the House. And so it's going to be one of those races actually that goes all the way down to the end, basically. So it's another wait and see, yeah.
And those big names, they include, we've got Mike Johnson, who campaigned for Jen Kiggins. We also had Hakeem Jeffries, who came out for the Democrats, Cotter-Smazel. So there is a lot of heat in this race, that's for sure.
Yes.
So it's all about getting people to the polls. And we've had our live coverage out there, and things were looking slow, but then we've also seen a lot of early votes. What does that say to you, to see so many people coming out before Election Day to vote?
You know, I think it's really clear that people prefer early voting.
Yeah.
They like to vote on Saturday and Sunday, or they like to vote by mail. And, you know, in all honesty, this is something that should make elections run a little bit smoother and a little bit more quickly. I think in most parts of Virginia, you saw fewer lines because so many people had voted early. So I think this is really an example about how easing up on voting restrictions can bring people into elections and really facilitate participation.
Right, and Dr. Watson, you mentioned you saw short lines as well.
Right. I think early voting has some major advantages for a lot of people. I voted early. One of the reasons why I know I voted early is because of job responsibility.
Right.
I also realized that it's possible, highly unlikely so far, that violence could have occurred, so I didn't want to be like a lot of people anywhere near spaces or places where that could possibly happen. So I'm sure those were factors that led to some people saying, I want to get this done early.
Absolutely. Thank you guys both again for being here. We truly appreciate it. All right, we're going to head back to Bethany now for a closer look at some of our local election results. Bethany, what are you seeing?
You know, we talked about North Carolina earlier, and again, they were choosing between their governor, but ABC called it just moments ago. Josh Stein coming in, looks like our governor race not coming in, but we can say that ABC is projecting Josh Stein as the winner for that governor race. Polls closed at 7:30, but in 2 counties, Wilson and Burke, voting hours were actually extended in North Carolina to 8 o'clock because of some technical issues at polling places. Now let's take a look at some of our national races. Again, we've been following this. The numbered hit here, 270 with those electoral votes. Trump now sitting at 101, Harris at 52. Obviously, we're waiting for that West Coast to really come into play when it comes to this presidential race, something we are going to be looking at. But let's touch back in with North Carolina here. When it comes to the presidential race, we're not seeing too many numbers come into play here. About 51%, 47%, 13.7% reporting right now in North Carolina. So a waiting game to see what happens when it comes to that presidential race in North Carolina. But let's talk about 1st Congressional District, the race between incumbent Democrat Don Davis and Republican Lori Buckout, something we've been following. Tom Bailey also in there as the incumbent. We'll bring that race into play here. Looks like our results are having troubles coming up, but I can tell you that's a race that we're closely watching between Buckout and Don Davis. Even though Tom Bailey is in the race, the two are really going to come into play. Now, Madison Schlegel has been in Elizabeth City in North Carolina all afternoon and now into the evening. Madison, what have you been seeing?
Yeah, we're at the Pasquotank County Board of Elections, and no voting was done here, but it's a spot where people could drop their absentee ballots off to. You can see the lights on behind me. They're not allowing us into that room, but you can see that's where they're going to be keeping track of votes. Earlier in the day, their receptionist told us that their phones were ringing off the hook with people calling to ask questions about Election Day, what they can bring, where they need to vote. Now, they tell us their phones are ringing again, but this time with calls from elections officials across the county. This county in particular has been one to watch too. Democrat Hillary Clinton won it narrowly in 2016, and in 2020, Democrat Joe Biden won Pasquotank County by just 52 votes. Other than the presidency, one big race for this district is North Carolina's 1st district. It's the race for their 1st congressional seat. Democrat incumbent Don Davis is going against Republican challenger Lori Buckout. It's the first election since the state has redrawn district lines, and political analysts say that it's making the district one of the most competitive races, not only in the state, but across the country. The election officials here in Pasquotank County say they plan to be here well into the night, counting some of those votes. We'll be bringing you more from their tabulations office as we get it. Live in Elizabeth City, Madison Schlegel, 13 News Now.
Thank you, Madison. There was a lot of concern in western North Carolina because they were hit hard by Hurricane Helene. Tents were set up in 4 counties in the area today because of damage during the storm still sticking around. Election officials say the tents have everything other polling locations have, and in some cases it's actually nicer than other precincts.
Well, back in Virginia, Hampton is choosing a new mayor after current mayor Donnie Tuck chose not to seek re-election. Stephanie Johnson is live there now with the latest. Stephanie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Dana, right now I'm at Vice Mayor Jimmy Gray's watch party, and as you can hear and see, it is definitely a party indeed. I want to turn your attention to what I'm seeing here. You see people are congregating here at this rec center. They're eating and they're anticipating the results for mayor. Now this race for mayor is between Jimmy Gray and Rochelle Wallace. Earlier today we were at 2 polling locations, Aberdeen Elementary School and Phoebus High School, where people stood in line to cast their vote for the next mayor of Hampton. And here's what you need to know about the 2 candidates running. Jimmy Gray is the city's current vice mayor and former Hampton fire chief. He's focused on 6 priorities for Hampton. Some of those include revitalizing the downtown hub for commercial, cultural, and civic events. Gray also tells 13 News Now that he also wants to crack down on crime by funding law enforcement and investing in technology like ShotSpotter, which is technology that can detect, locate, and alert police to nearly all gunshot incidents. Meanwhile, his opponent, Rochelle Wallace, has served as Hampton's fire captain for nearly 2 decades and have 3 priorities for the city. Her main desire, though, is to add more mental health resources for the youth and adults. But take a listen to what people in Hampton want to see in their next mayor.
I'm gonna go with the woman. Mental health is important, and it's a lot of things that people don't speak on. Like, it's just now becoming important. It should have been important.
I like to see more development in terms of industry and Hampton to become even more global and attract other professions to the community.
As you heard there, voters want to see a lot of different things in their next mayor for Hampton. We're at Gray's watch party, and we're keeping an eye on the polls for you, and we'll be sure to give you those results as soon as we learn them. Live in Hampton, Stephanie Johnson, 13 News. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Stephanie. And Chesapeake voters are also choosing a new mayor. Mayor Rick West and his supporters are gathering this hour, awaiting the election results. Shane Fordham is there. So Shane, what's the situation looking like?
Well, it is a packed house here at incumbent Rick West watching party here in Chesapeake at the Lockside Grill. And as you can see behind me, supporters are still pouring in. People are standing, laughing, and enjoying themselves as we wait for results to come in. Mayor West supporters here tell me they're excited and believe he has a good chance of winning re-election. Now, we'll know whether or not that optimism materializes over the next few hours as we wait for the first vote results to come in. Mayor West has yet to arrive, but I will keep you posted with updates throughout the evening. Live in Chesapeake, Shane Fordham, 13 News Now.
Shane, thank you. There's another mayoral race in Portsmouth tonight. Incumbent Shannon Glover, Vice Mayor Lisa Lucas-Burke, and Harold Carruthers III are vying for the job. Marta Berglund is live in Portsmouth with more.
That's right, Bethany. We are at Rivers Casino in Portsmouth, and we've been spending time at Lisa Lucas-Burke's watch party this evening. We got here right here after polls closed at about 7 o'clock, and we've seen people come in excited to watch this event, and we'll be heading over to Shannon Glover's event in just a bit. Without giving any info on numbers, this race has been pretty neck and neck. It's been going back and forth. So we've been hearing from voters who are just excited to get the night going. They're excited to see the results. And we spoke to one voter who worked to kind of collect poll workers, collect people who would campaign for Lucas-Burke at the polls. And here is why he said he thinks she's the right candidate for the seat.
Well, she supports firefighter issues. You know, the other one that we have now was sometimes supportive, sometimes he wasn't. But she's always, and her mother also has always supported firefighter issues.
Again, Shannon Glover is the incumbent candidate, and Lisa Lucas-Burke is the current vice mayor of Portsmouth. Harold Carruthers is a political newcomer, so we'll see how all this shapes out. We're going to head over to Glover's event next, so we'll catch up with you there coming up during our next live hit. But live in Portsmouth right now, Marta Berglund, 13 News Now.
A busy night. Thank you, Marta. Now in Newport News, races include City Council and School Board. Connor Reel spent time at 2 polling locations talking to voters.
Keisha McCullough wasn't taking any chances with finding time to vote today.
So I took the day off of work because I thought it was very important, and I know every vote counts.
Many of her Newport News neighbors felt the same way.
If we have a civic duty, and this is our civic duty, we should be here doing this.
They're all here to have their voices heard, and 3 issues dominated the conversation: abortion rights, the economy, and immigration.
I chose to participate because of the economy. I chose to participate because of the immigrant crisis. I chose to participate because of the abortion.
Well, the economy, certainly. I'm kind of a retired guy. The money that I have set aside and the money that I get from my Social Security doesn't go as far.
And while many are ready for a long election season to end,
it's been very daunting. It's been very long, and it's on every channel, but it mattered.
Elena Berry is voting for the first time ever, and she's cherishing the moment.
I mean, it's just awesome. I'm gonna remember this forever.
The 23-year-old woman from Iceland knows you only get so many chances to have your voice heard.
I mean, it's exhilarating. The fact that just my opinion gets to be heard is amazing.
Let's take another look at our results here. This is our country as a whole right now. Again, this number to hit 270 for those electoral votes. Right now, Trump sitting at 101, Harris 71. Multiple races are already starting to project winners. We're talking about places like Tennessee saying that Trump has won, is the projected winner, I should say, in that area. Same story for places like West Virginia, whereas for Harris, we're looking at Massachusetts coming in, saying that she is the projected winner. Also taking a look at Vermont here, saying she's the projected winner as well. So that's something we're tracking. But I want to bring it more local for us here and talk about the Virginia Senate, a big race in our area. Right now, we're looking at Kane coming in at 51%, 48.8% for Cal. And you're seeing about 58.2% reporting in Virginia when it comes to this Senate race. So still a tight race for our area, something we've been watching from the beginning. We also have many district races happening across Virginia, 4 that we're following here in our viewing area. Now we have live team coverage across our area. We're going to get to some of our reporters in just a moment, but I want to dissect this a little further when it comes to our presidential race in Virginia. You can see a lot of red spanning here. Right now, Trump's sitting at about 49.5%. We've got about 58.5% reporting here in Virginia when it comes to our presidential race. This number been going back and forth between Harris and Trump. It was about 59 for Trump earlier. Now we're starting to see more results come into play. So almost 50-50 for us here in Virginia when it comes to that presidential race. No shock there. But when we zoom into our area just a little bit further, you can see a lot of red for our area. Other places, though, like Norfolk, coming in with 71% for Harris. We're also seeing places like Portsmouth come in favor of Harris right now with 65%. Again, these are just early projections here. Nothing's been called in Virginia. Trump sitting at 52% in Virginia Beach right now. Just 28.7% reporting, though, in the city. So this is still very close for our state, going back and forth when it comes to that presidential race. But again, like I told you, we have a lot of local races we're keeping an eye on, especially in Virginia Beach. Let's go to Alex Littlehales. Alex, where are you? What are you seeing? What have you been monitoring throughout the night?
Hey, Bethany, good evening. Yeah, we talk about close races, and there is, in Virginia at least, probably no race bigger, at least more widely watched than the Virginia 2nd Congressional District race between Congresswoman Jen Kiggans and Democratic challenger Missy Cotter-Smalsel. So right now, we are in the Westin at Town Center. This is the watch party for Congresswoman Jen Kiggans. And as you can see, hundreds of people are filing in through the room. Obviously, still too many precincts that have not recorded their votes yet, so there isn't exactly a temperature in the room that I can honestly tell you about whether people are super optimistic or because honestly the results haven't been shown a lot on these TV screens. But I think the context here is that because Congresswoman Kiggans is the incumbent here, they believe that there is a good chance that she is going to win re-election. At least that is the atmosphere from the room. We just heard from Attorney General Jason Miyares. He took the stage a couple minutes ago. He said that the early numbers, in his words, looked good for Congresswoman Kiggans, but as we know, Democratic challenger Cotter Smossel. This is a tightly contested race, and a lot of the reason that there is so much attention to this is because we have seen this district flip from red to blue, back to red numerous times over the last couple of years. And again, reminder, this is now the second election cycle where Virginia is using recently redrawn congressional maps. So that was the first time that Congresswoman Kiggins won her election then. And so now we are going to see whether that redrawn map, which leans a little bit red, that was sort of the intention of this redrawing of maps. We'll see if she will win a second election cycle. So that's the energy here in this room from the Kiggins side. But I know that we have Emily Harrison live with the Missy Cotter Smossel camp. And I'm just curious, Emily, what are you seeing there? Let's take it from there.
The energy is also just as high in this room, although it has gone down just a little bit. A lot of the supporters starting to sit down, even though there are still dozens behind me as they are settling in for possibly a long election night. I spoke to a few of the people in this room who all tell me they've been with Missy Cotter Smossel since the beginning. Many of the issues speaking to them directly, they say, especially about reproductive rights and the economy. Many also say that they were with Cotter Smossel just last night as they went door knocking one at a time in a last-ditch effort to get people to go out today and vote. Many of them also wearing overwhelmingly blue in this area and also wearing Harris Walls shirts, pins, and gear as they are hoping for a positive result for Missy Cotter Smossel during this election night.
I mean, she just is so for people and for protecting everybody. So it's just been, I mean, there really wasn't any other choice.
Now, the interesting thing about this is still that Missy Cotter Smossel is still not in this room. Her team tells me that she is spending as much time as possible at those polling locations, which again are closed for right now, but she is still not in this room. Her team tells me that she will be here later tonight, possibly around 9 to 10, as she says, or her team says, that she wants to be with the people who have supported her thus far. But it's going to be something that we're going to continue to keep you updated on here on 13 News Now. Back to you.